In this tutorial, we're going to talk about the red house project that I did using SketchUp and Enscape. This is the 3D model of the house with some vegetation from the Enscape library and one tree that I'll talk about that I kind of modeled. And then we have a curved background around the house. So let me just turn off a few layers here. So we have a little bit of modeled terrain. And then this is the simple boxy house with some wood paneling. And I don't know if you remember, but in the old days, when Evermotion got a 3D Arc Exteriors volume out, the back of the house was not modeled at all. So I did the same thing. I just wanted to have these basic shapes in front, and then in the back, nothing. Emptiness. It doesn't matter. So I just wanted this particular shot in a wide or ultra wide resolution. So something like this. So we have the terrain, we have some concrete fences around the property, and then the little cute house. Now for the vegetation. I just used some basic Evermotion assets, and then I scattered some trees around to have them visible in the reflection of the windows and to give me maybe some shadows and some context. And then the main character of this project was this huge oak tree. This is called a live oak, and I modeled it, I said sort of, because I used Speed Tree Modeler to model it, to change it a little bit. So this is a nice, powerful tool to use nodes and to kind of model or draw your own trees. And you can change them up. You can use forces like wind to give it the look you want. But of course, it was kind of heavy with all the polygons for SketchUp, so I wanted to simplify it a little bit and use, for the leaves, I wanted to use Face Me components. So after some work, I'm not going to complain, but after some work, I managed to get this. So all the individual cards or Face Me components are set up, are scattered across the branches. Some branches are 2D. So, and the ivy is also like 2D texture cards with opacity. So in this way, this tree is very lightweight for SketchUp. And let me just come back here. And you can, use a bunch of them. But I wanted this because I really liked the aspect, the wild, aspect of the tree, because it's so, it's reaching out. It's very nice for this composition. And let me just start Enscape and show you. But first, or before I do that, this tree is available on my Gumroad page, so you can download it for free from there. Just check the links in the description below. So I'll have that ready for you guys over there. And then let's move to Enscape. This is how it looks in the Enscape window. Let me just zoom in a little bit on the tree. So you see we have these very detailed textures and a lot of leaves. So if everything would have been in 3D meshes, then probably, well, my computer would have died. So this is much better. You always have to be careful with the number of polygons you use in SketchUp. So that's, you know, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. The vegetation is mostly Enscape objects. Let me just go over here. So we have these long grasses and some little, I don't know how to call these, like leaves, grass, weeds, maybe some weeds with an S. Anyway, we have all of those scattered across in this lawn, which as an Enscape material, it is grass. So we have that dense grass as a first layer, then we have some weeds as a second layer, and then, or dandelion leaves, or, you know, just some fillers over there. And then we have this like pampas grass on top. And all of these layers kind of make out the lawn, which is also important in this composition. Now, there is some displacement on the tree. Oh no, just normal map. Okay. We could do a displacement to make it more rugged. And then there's the wood paneling, or the siding. So for this, I wanted to have a color. So not just natural looking wood, or this is Douglas fir, so not just the simple color of the wood. I wanted to give it a little color, and for that I like to use the tint color, or sometimes I do an image fade from here and choose a color. But this kind of makes the texture disappear, the fibers and everything. So you have, if you want a more subtle look to the wood, so it's not so visible, then image fade. But in this case, I want to have the fibers of the wood and the planks, the lines between the planks, very visible. So I'm going to use the tint color. So with the tint color, you can basically color everything the way you want to. So for this, I'm going to use maybe like a red burgundy color, something like this, because I want a nice contrast with the green from all around. And then we'll take this color, copy, and go to our material. And paste it to make the metal and the wood kind of match, as if they were painted with the same color. And it looks pretty good. For exteriors, I like to use an HDRI, because with the HDRI and the sun, I have more control over the overall lighting. So I can control the brightness of the HDRI, or I can control the brightness of the sun, or both. So by doing this, I have more control over the overall exposure. So the exposure is set to 50. No auto exposure. I never use auto exposure. No auto contrast either. So the highlights are set to -50, but this depends on how much light and how much the image is burned or not, or overexposed. And then the shadows, I kept the shadows -100 because I don't want this contrast from the render or straight out of the render, because I'm going to use Photoshop to post-process the image. So I don't want to lose details in the dark areas. So I'm going to bring them to -100. And then saturation is set to 80%, because again, if I go into Photoshop, and we'll go into Photoshop to do the post-processing, then I'm going to add some saturation. I'm going to add a lookup table that will influence the colors. So I don't want 100%, because it's very, very saturated and very, very strong color. So I want something around 80%. Of course, if you're doing no post-processing, then you would play around with these to get the final look that you want. Some bloom, no effects, and then no fog. As I said, the sun brightness is or was around 30. Shadow sharpness is at 30%. Of course, here we could go higher because I want to see the branches, the leaves in the shadow over here. So it's not so blurry, because if it's 0, it looks like a, like a big stain on the wood. And if it's 100, it's too sharp. Right? This is too much. So maybe 70. Something like this. And as I said, there's an HDRI in the sky, and the sun is not connected to the HDRI. So brightest point as sun direction is unchecked. Nothing really fancy with the lighting here. I just want these three values to be controlled independently. The sky, the sun, and the exposure. So from these three sliders, I can do almost everything for exteriors. And then we have the background image, which is just an image. Sometimes I use self-illuminated if it's too dark, but now it just works perfectly. So we have the scattered Enscape grass, we have the colored wood, and then we have this big oak tree in the middle. And here we have the scenes all ready to go. Save frame is on, so I see what I render. And nothing too complicated. The only thing I think I missed was that I put two light planes on the inside to kind of bring some light to the ceiling but you know, it works with or without them. You see that little red gradient there, the light. So the reflection is not so dark. All right. So let's just render one of the images and then go into Photoshop to see what we have. This is the raw render that came out of Enscape, and then I used Crea AI to enhance it. Now, I'm not a fan of enhancing the whole image. As you can see here, you know, it did some crazy things and, you know, a lot of weird details that don't really match what I wanted. But the good thing is I can now blend the two together using a layer mask. And by looking at them, I can choose what to keep and what to eliminate. So I like how it did the pampas grass. It looks much better. And then I like the weathering on the wood, which is really nice. So by adding a mask and then basically painting what I want or what I don't want to be in the image, like these weird reflections. So you can choose and kind of erase what you don't want. So maybe that ivy looked weird over there. And of course, you have to be careful on, you know, painting the image so it doesn't look weird or unnatural. And then the leaves are very, very stringy, and I'll just go back to the original because I liked how it looked. Like that. And then come in and maybe keep the weathering on the wood. Like that. So again, you know, you can use AI to enhance the image. I wouldn't use it, you know, on every image like 100% AI. It just, in my opinion, doesn't look so good. But it really speeds up the post-processing. So you get the idea. I will blend them together. Use what's good, leave out what's bad. And then for this one, I just kept it really simple. I added a look, or a filter that makes the image warmer, saturates the red and brings in some contrast. And you know, I have a huge list of LUTs that I use. This is from the LUTs, and you can play around, you know, with all kinds of looks and LUTs and decide again what works or doesn't work for your image. Oh, this looks good. Maybe too bright, so I'll bring down the opacity. And this is it for the post-processing. These are the final images with this technique. You see, I kept the weathering on the wood and the metal parts That looked good. Added some LUTs and filters for saturation and contrast. And then enhance the vegetation with some AI, and it looks pretty good. Combined everything together. It looks good. I like it. I hope you found this information useful. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Also remember that the oak tree from this tutorial is available on my Gumroad page totally for free, so you can download it and use it in your renders. And I'll see you in the next tutorial.